Hello, class. Uh, Today I'm going to read to you a mentor text, or a text that we are going to use this week, and maybe even more so going forward. Um, and we're going to talk about biographies and text structure, and specifically text structure of chronological order or chronology. Um, I want to look at this text, and it's called The Babe. And I want to activate your background knowledge because you may have heard of Babe Ruth before. He's a famous baseball player, maybe one of the most famous of all time, one of the greatest of all time for sure. So stop and think about that, okay? Now remember, we've talked about autobiography at the very beginning of the year, and we also talked about biography as well, if I remember correctly. And remember, a biography is a story, or not story, it's the account of someone's life, facts and details about a person's life written by somebody else. But the thing about a biography, and I'm gonna actually do some writing here, a biography is usually told in a specific kind of text structure. And that text structure is usually in sequential or that means sequential or chronological order. Now, the prefix chrono, C-R-O-N-O, we've talked about this before, that means time. And there's I probably mentioned this before, there's a fantastic Super Nintendo game from when I was 7th, 8th grade called Chrono Trigger, and it was about time travel. Great game. But the biography has a text structure of it's usually written in sequential or chronological order. They typically use the past tense of words because they tell the events that have already happened. I mean, it's not going to tell about the future of Babe Ruth because Babe Ruth passed away, 90 years ago, 80 years ago, almost 90. And so it's telling us about the past, what happened when he was alive. So I want you guys to be active listeners and think about the order of events, the sequence, the chronological order, the chronology of this text with the babe. Okay, there's two pages. There's this page and this page, but to be able to screen record, I've kind of split it up. So we have the babe. One of the greatest baseball players of all time, Babe Ruth, was born in 1895. His name was George Herman Ruth Jr. When he was a boy, George had problems, often skipping school and getting into trouble. His parents sent him to a school run by Catholic monks. The school was very strict and was surrounded by a wall similar to a prison. His parents hoped the school would help improve George's behavior. George was only 7 when he began attending the school. Being sent to this school proved to be a game changer for George. It affected the rest of his life. Baseball was very popular at the school, and George proved to be an excellent baseball player. Not only was he able to play all positions on the field, he was also an excellent pitcher and batter. One of the monks became a role model for him and helped George work on his baseball skills. So I'm going to stop right there, and I want to look at this first paragraph. And as I read it, I can tell you right now that is a biography just from that, because it has the date 18... Ooh, let me get my marker back out there, sorry. It has the date 1895 right there. That tells me when Babe Ruth, or George, as he's, his real name is, when he was born. And the author of this text uses words like, when he was a boy. And there's another thing that tells about the order here. Where was it? He was only 7. There it is. Was only 7. Was also used. And those things show a change in time. Because it goes from born to when he was a boy to only 7 when he went to that school. Went to this special school for bad kids. He must have been a pretty tough customer, because it takes a lot for a kid to go to school like that nowadays. All right, so then the babe continued. He says the babe continued up here. Get my pen tool out here. The babe continued right there. As George grew older, the monks realized his potential. When he was 19, they asked the owner of a professional baseball club, Jack Dunn, to come and watch George play. Dunn liked what he saw and signed George to a contract to play with the Baltimore Orioles. Again, I'm sure you guys have heard of the Orioles before if you follow sports. The other Oriole players called him Jack's newest babe, which led to his nickname, Babe Ruth. Babe next played with the Boston Red Sox organization. He started out as a pitcher, but it soon became obvious that his best talent was batting. Team owners realized that Babe was too good for the minor leagues, so he became part of the major league team. In 1919, Babe joined the New York Yankees as an outfielder. He broke records, hitting 54 home runs in 1920. The next year, he hit 59 home runs, breaking his own record. In 1927, he had a record of 60 home runs. This record was not broken until 34 years later. With Babe on their side, the Yankees became a powerful team, winning 7 pennants and 4 world championships from 1920 to 1933. In 1934, Babe joined the Boston Braves, hoping to become the manager. This did not happen, and he retired in 1935. The Baseball Hall of Fame was created in 1936, and Babe became one of the first 5 players to become a member. In 1946, Babe was diagnosed with cancer. He died on August 16, 1948. Over 100,000 people lined up to pay their respects to the great Babe Ruth. Sorry, I forgot that wasn't the way there, guys. The great Babe Ruth. So, let's say that we're looking at this top paragraph right here. And the author uses, if you look at it, and we start on this page, the author uses dates in the beginning. But there are no dates in this paragraph. To understand the order of events, I have to ask myself, as the reader, I have to ask myself, what happened first? Then what happened? Well, you have to think of what makes sense, okay? Because so when he was 19, they asked the owner of a professional baseball club to watch him play. He liked what he saw and signed to a contract to play. The other Oriole players called him Jack's newest babe. And you need to think of the transition words in here. There's no dates, but then Babe next played with the Boston Red Sox organization. He was a pitcher, but it was realized that batting was his, what he was best at. Then they realized he was too good at the minor leagues, so he became part of the major league team. In 1919, he joined the New York Yankees. And they always say that there was the curse because the Red Sox traded him away. There was the curse of the Bambino, and the Red Sox didn't win they finally won a world championship in, I think, 2004 and broke the curse, they say. But this whole paragraph right here is a beautiful example of text structure of chronology, because in 1919, oh geez, if I could write properly, 1919, he joined the Yankees. And then in 1920, can't write today. 1920, he hit 54 home runs. I'm going to use HR there. And then the next year, now it says the next year he hit 59 home runs. So what would the next year be? If it was 1920, the next year would be 1921. He hit 59 home runs. And then in 1927, he had a record of 60. So how many years later was that? That was not 6 years later. He hit 60 home runs. So look at that chronology right there. It tells us 1919, he joins the Yankees. Then he hits that many home runs there, then there, then there. And then in 1934, he joined the Boston Braves. Now the Atlanta Braves. 1934, goes to the Boston Braves, and then retires in 1935. Do you guys see the order of events being laid out for us here in a sequential order? As we go forward this week, we're going to examine the kinds of things that you need to look for in a sequential or a chronological text structure. Okay? This is just the first lesson of the week. Going forward this week, we're going to keep looking at it, guys.